Hi, everyone. My name is Marcia Wall. I'm a former teacher, and I have now been a career coach and career services provider for a number of years. And I'm here to talk to you today about careers and career services, a guide for transitioning teachers. So if you're interested in the field of career services, how you might jump into the field of career services, stick with me and learn more. Again, my name is Marcia Wall. I'm a career success coach. You are free to connect with me on LinkedIn. In some of the supplemental materials that I have provided, my LinkedIn information is there as well. Also, just look for me on LinkedIn at Marcia Wall. I'm always posting tips, free resources, and things that you might find useful in your career search. So today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to go over an overview of what is career services. What do we mean by that designation? Talk about the transferable skills you already have as an educator that are going to be very useful to you in a role as an employment specialist, career coach, job developer, or something similar. And we're also going to talk about certifications. As a teacher, you know that certifications are often required for your job. The good news is that being certified is not required in order to get a job in career services, but that doesn't mean it's not a good idea to get a certification. And finally, we're going to talk about how to get started, because that's really what you're here to know, right? All right, let's get started. So the big question, why would you go for a career in career services? Why career services as a career? For me, the answer is that I got to do what I got to do as an educator. You get to help others realize and exceed their own expectations. So you may not be teaching kindergartners, you may not be grading papers necessarily, you may not be meeting with parents necessarily, but you still get to do what you love to do as an educator, and that's help people to achieve their goals and better their lives. And for me, that was a really good reason for me to go into this career, because it allowed me to still fulfill that need to help others. Now, here's the thing. The scope of career services is wide. And when I decided to enter the field, I didn't know that. I knew very little about what sort of jobs there were in career services. For me, I only knew about it in a K through 12 setting and a college setting. So I figured that was the scope of career services. And once I got into the field, I realized how vast it is and how diverse it is, the different types of jobs and the different types of settings where you can actually work in career services. So for example, you're going to find career services professionals in the K through 12 field. You're going to find them in higher education, universities, community colleges, in trade schools. You're also going to find people doing career development type of work in leadership programs like AmeriCorps, for example. The title may not be career coach, but you're still helping people to develop professionally. Human resources departments and corporations hire internal career coaches to help their employees do their best. And you're definitely going to find career service professionals in nonprofit organizations. For example, Jewish Family Service, Catholic Charities, Trans Can Work, maybe for organizations that support refugees or people with intellectual disabilities. The Goodwill is a really famous nonprofit organization that hires people to work in career services. And also the government, both the federal and local governments are going to have opportunities where you can work in a capacity related to career services, either by working in one of America's job centers. You may not know, but there are free career service centers all over the country paid by your federal dollars. And also, if you're going to work in vocational rehab, there is a department of the government specifically dedicated to helping people go back into work if they have a disability. And then there are things called workforce development organizations. You may not be familiar with that title. I know in San Diego, the San Diego Workforce Development Partnership is working to find ways to help people to get back to work, to come up with unique educational and work opportunities so that everyone has an opportunity to work. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. And then staffing agencies, employment agencies. If you're going to work there, you're also going to be using the skills of a career service provider. So it's not just in the schools where you're going to find career counselors. You're also going to find them in private practice like me. I work for myself. I work with clients one-on-one. I also work with them, for organizations doing trainings and development and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of places where you're going to find someone doing career services. And something else I didn't know going into it is that there's a wide variety of clients that need career services providers. Believe it or not, children, career services are being done for students as young as kindergarten. Obviously, in high school, you're going to have career counselors and coaches at the higher ed level for adult students. There are some people that only work with ex-military or military spouses as a career services provider. Some focus on people with intellectual disabilities. Some career service providers will work exclusively with small business owners or do executive coaching. Others are going to work in the field of mental health, helping people in recovery from mental illness and or substance abuse disorders. And then there's folks who are going to specialize in working with people who are experiencing homelessness or poverty or other barriers to self-sufficiency. Me, for example, I typically specialize in working with emerging professionals, that is young adults graduating from college or who are just starting their careers. And then I also work with people who are 50 plus trying to re-engineer their careers. And then you're going to find that there's all sorts of other populations that are really targeted. So for example, people coming out of the justice system, if they've been in prison, there are programs set up just for them. There's programs set up just for refugees. There are programs set up just for folks in the LGBTQIA+ community. I know that the Urban League has its own workforce development programs. The bottom line here is that the scope of career services is wide and diverse. And so if you're thinking about this career, it's not so much what can I do to become a career coach. You're going to find that is what skills do I have that are transferable? What sort of population do I want to work with? And what sort of setting do I want to work in? And that's how you're going to begin to get an idea if this field is right for you. So like I said, the field of career services is diverse. It encompasses a wide range of job titles. And accordingly, salaries range from maybe $13 per hour, maybe even less in some states. And then there are some people who are making over six figures a year. Now, more than likely, you're not going to step into a six-figure job coming right out of the classroom. I've been out of the classroom for many years. I'm still not making six figures, and I'm okay with that. But just know, sometimes I see when teachers say, well, how much does this job pay? I can tell you that even for, as a career services provider, I can tell you that even in the field of medicine, what a doctor makes will really vary depending on where they work, what population they serve, how much experience they have. So just know that if this is something that you really want to do, there's definitely money to be made. But I would also say, more importantly, you need to be going into this because this is something that's really going to fulfill you. That doesn't mean you can't make money, but don't just go for the money. Go for something that is going to support you, and then it's also going to enrich your life as you're enriching the lives of others. So when you are going on Indeed or LinkedIn or you're networking, maybe looking on idealist.org, that's a great website to search for jobs. You may be thinking, well, what job title do I go for? The answer is fundamentally, I can't tell you the job title to go for. I once had a job title. My job title was high school presenter, and I was really a career advisor. So oftentimes job titles will be misleading, but I can tell you that these job titles listed below are going to be ones where you're going to find jobs in career services over and over and over again. Career coach, advisor, or counselor, internship coordinator, internship developer, employment specialist. That's usually an entry-level job and can pay anywhere from maybe 13 to 25 an hour. A job developer is going to be someone who is going out into the community and helping to create jobs for their clients, usually for vulnerable populations, maybe people with intellectual disabilities, might be people who are coming out of prison, These are programs where they want them to have jobs that they can step into. And then there are going to be people who maybe work on their own or for a firm, simply working with executives and coaching them on their leadership style, for example. Or like me, I work with some small businesses, helping them to develop their target audiences, to understand what their purpose is, why they're doing this kind of work. And as we move on, you'll see resume and LinkedIn writers. Some career services people aren't career coaches at all. They merely write resumes, LinkedIn profiles, and other collateral, maybe thank you letters, bios, diversity statements, cover letters, that sort of thing. An employer relations specialist is a little bit different than a job developer. An employer relations specialist often will work at a university, and this person will go out into the community to find employers to bring onto campus for career fairs and things of that nature. A workforce development coordinator is going to be someone who's probably doing some job development type of work, maybe working for a nonprofit organization targeting a specific audience. Workforce development is a little bit different than a career coach, and I encourage you to sort of explore that online. Vocational case manager. Vocational rehab is a big part of career services, and this is about helping people who have disabilities get back to work, if they're not able to do the work that they were able to do before. And so the government as well as nonprofit organizations are going to hire people to specialize in this field. So maybe this is sounding interesting to you and you're thinking to yourself, but I've never worked in career services. I don't know a thing about career services. And maybe to some extent that is true, but I can absolutely tell you that you have the basic skills that you need in order to work in career services. So coaching, mentoring, training, teaching, I do all of those things as a career services provider. I teach people about the career services process. I teach them how to find a job. I coach them. I mentor them along the way. I do trainings like this one here, for example. Writing, presentation, and public speaking, any kind of communication that you use now, you're going to be using in the field of career services. Certainly, you're going to, you might be writing resumes, LinkedIn profiles, proposal. You might be writing curriculum. You might be writing training materials, making presentations both to potential clients as well as to potential employers. And then being able to speak in front of people. As a teacher, you do that every day. So even if you don't think you have public speaking skills, believe me, you do. Interpersonal skills are huge. As a teacher, as an educator, you have to use those every day to gain the trust of students, to interface with parents, to collaborate with your fellow teachers, as well as your admins and other personnel. And when you're working with people around the issue of career services, it's really delicate. People have a lot of emotions invested in their career development process. And so being able to listen to people, to have empathy for people, to speak to people in a kind way, to be encouraging to them, to validate them, these are things that you're already doing as a teacher, I assume, and you're going to be using those in this field as well. Organizational skills, I think you're going to use those skills no matter where you go in any field, but certainly in the field of career services, you need to help your clients to remain organized. You may be organizing events depending on what sphere you're working in. If you're working individually, you need to be able to keep track of your own business. If you're able to organize a classroom, you can certainly organize things in the fields of career services. I already mentioned curriculum development. So again, depending on the sphere that you're in, it's quite possible that you're going to be writing training programs. You may be writing curriculum for students in a traditional or non-traditional type of classroom. So just know that all of that you've learned how to do to write lesson plans, develop curriculum, that is going to serve you in this field. Collaboration, again, that's one of those things, no matter where you're working, you need to be able to work with people. Even if you're only working like I do most of the time, one-on-one with clients, you need to be able to collaborate with your client. If you're working, let's say in a nonprofit organization, you're going to have to collaborate with other departments, work cross-functionally. So all of those skills that you've honed to be able to collaborate with your colleagues and as well as parents. And I know sometimes that can be tough, right? But you do it. So those collaboration skills are going to come in handy. This is a big one you may not have thought of. There is a lot of documentation and case management that goes on in career services, whether you're working for yourself, but especially if you're working for an organization, particularly if it's government funded or it's a nonprofit organization, but even in the corporate sector as well. So you're going to be documenting progress, you're going to be documenting goals, you're going to be documenting assessments, right? All of these things that you do as a teacher, especially if you've ever written an IEP, you know how to document things, you know how to record things. And then you're going to be managing people as they go along. It's not simply a matter of meeting with someone for 1 hour and giving them some instruction in career services. You're really working with them over a long period of time in most cases to coach them, mentor them, and hold them accountable. That's the case management part of it. And I know as a teacher, as an educator, that you're doing that already, right? That's what you're able to look and make short-term and long-term goals and then document student progress over time and report on that in a variety of different ways. Another big thing, and I think this applies to almost any type of industry, if you are tech savvy at all, you're going to be able to use that in career services. You may not realize that, but in addition to using, let's say, Microsoft Office or Zoom or Google Suite, or even Slack, guilty, don't know that one very well. You're going to find that there's a lot of automation in career services. There are applicant tracking system like programs like JobScan, for example. There are going to be online assessments. So if you feel comfortable with technology or you're willing to learn about technology, you're going to find that that's definitely going to be an asset in career services. And then data analysis. Again, that's something that I think is going to be useful in almost any career that you transfer into. And again, it's, how this plays out is going to depend on what kind of position you're in. But everyone needs to be able to analyze trends, to understand trends, and then to make changes, recommendations, implementations based on that data. So I don't see how you can't not see, right, that you already have so many transferable skills that are going to be crucial to being successful in career services. Now let's talk certifications. No certification is legally mandated in order for you to become a career coach. Anyone can say, I'm a career coach and legally operate. However, I do believe that being certified educates you on best practices, gives you professional credibility, and it is often required or preferred by employers. That being said, we'll talk in a minute about different types of certifications, maybe what they cost, how long they take. I can guarantee you that it's not the same level of certification that you have to do in order to get a certification in order to teach. So that's good. Let's take a look at some sample credentialing bodies in the next slide. So there are many different organizations out there that credential people to either be a coach or work in career services in some kind of way. The one I'm credentialed through a couple of different organizations. One is the National Career Development Association, NCDA. They offer a variety of certifications, and getting the certification requires taking a training course, doing some case studies. It's not just a matter of taking a class and paying a fee. There's actual work involved, but the wonderful thing is you get educated, you understand best practices. You join a community of people that are dedicated to excellence and continuous improvement. ICF, which stands for International Coaching Federation, that is a general coaching certificate. It is not necessarily only for people going into career services, but it is a popular one. And I've seen many people who are coaches go ahead and get that certification. So it's worth checking out. Another big one is Career Thought Leaders. And this is an organization run by Marie Zimenoff. It's really her brainchild. And she's a private individual. This is a private organization, but she offers just so many different trainings and certifications that you can get in order to, again, learn and increase your professional credibility. You want to check her out as well. All of these organizations are going to be listed on a supplemental document that you have access to as a result of taking this workshop. Another one is the Center on Credentialing and Education. Through that organization, I am credentialed as a global career development facilitator, GCDF. The training that I had to do for that was the same training that I had to do through NCDA, but it's a slightly different certification. We'll come back to universities in a minute. NAWDP, National Association of Workforce Development Professionals. Again, this is a different type of certification if you're going to be working in workforce development as opposed to career coaching. This might be the one for you. I encourage you to go check that out, learn more about what it is. NRWA, National Resume Writers Association. This is a certification just for people who really want to write resumes and or LinkedIn profiles. Now, that's not to say that you can't be certified through NCDA through one of its many credentials. You know, if you get the NRWA, you can get all of these credentials if you want to. But just understand that there's a variety of different credentials and credentialing organizations out there. SHRM, that stands for Society of Human Resource Managers, slightly different. HR is not exactly the same as career services, but there are a lot of career services folks who work in the human resources industry. So if you find yourself moving in more towards the area of human resources, it might not hurt you to get that certification. Again, I don't believe it's cheap. I really don't know exactly how much that costs, but all of these certifications are going to come with a price. I can tell you that for my NCDA, I think when it was all said and done, between taking the course and paying the fees, I think the initial output was probably around $1,500. And then every year I pay dues. I also pay money for my continuing education. I think every 3 years I pay to have my credential renewed. So there are fees to it, but I can tell you it's one of the best things I've ever done professionally. And it gives me a lot of credibility, and it also allows me to do many things that I wouldn't be able to do without it. Here on the left, looking at universities, universities don't actually credential people to be career counselors, but I include it here because at a university, you can get a master's in career counseling or career coaching. Again, probably not going to absolutely need that degree unless you're going to be working, I know in California at the community college level, you have to have that degree. If you're going to be teaching career coaching or counseling at a university, they very often want you to have that. So having the degree in and of itself will not fully credential you, but it is another way to become further certified or to enhance your professional qualifications. So the question is, hey, I'm interested in career services. I want to know more what that's about. You know, you're saying, I don't know if I want to work in a nonprofit organization. Do I want to be an employment specialist? Maybe I want to work with veterans. Maybe I want to work with military personnel or military spouses. Perhaps I'm interested in working with people coming out of prison. Maybe I want to coach really high-level executives and, you know, coach them to succeed. I have a colleague, all she does is write resumes and LinkedIn profiles, primarily in the oil and gas industry in Louisiana. So you can be as specific or as broad as you want to in this field. So the question is, how do I learn more? How do I get started? I say the first thing to do is start doing some research, and you can do that by following industry leaders. Again, on this document, a supplemental document that I have included for people attending this workshop, you're going to find a long list of names, people who are really high-level leaders, people who are just resume writers, people who are just coaches, people who are educators doing this kind of work in K-12 education. The more you follow on LinkedIn, the more you're going to get to understand the breadth and scope and depth of career services industry in general. Also, and this is a big deal, research and follow professional organizations on LinkedIn. I just got done mentioning a bunch of them, right? National Career Development Association, SHRM, Center on Credentialing and Education. I've included all of these and more on that supplemental document with links to their organizations. So follow them, research them, read all about them, understand what they have to offer, who they target, and see what they can teach you about the fields of career services. Because I think what's important is when you go into it, make sure that you're at least starting in a place that you like. That doesn't mean you have to stay there for the rest of your career, but at least start somewhere where you like. And then as you're in the fields, kind of continue to grow and evolve just as you did as an educator. I would also look at target employers to see what sort of jobs are they offering in career services. Again, you can find that in nonprofit organizations. You can find that in corporations. One of the things you can do is to read job descriptions. Just go on to Indeed and type in career coach, employment specialist, and start looking at all of these different job descriptions. And you're going to get an idea again of the breadth and depth of the kinds of jobs that are out there. Now, this is really key. This next piece, this is really key. No matter what career you want to move into next, you need to network. I have a workshop. It's called Network for Your Net Worth. And in my mind, all network means is making professional friends. And so you need to find folks who are already doing this line of work, follow them, contact them for informational interviews, find a mentor or two who can sort of answer some of your questions. I know this is easier said than done, but if you take the first step by following industry leaders and researching and following professional organizations, little by little, you're going to go find these people. And these are the people that are going to be able to really give you that insider information that you need. Again, read job descriptions or work with a coach, whether that's on a pro bono basis or you hire someone who is already doing this kind of work and that you're working with one-on-one can really give you a head start in this department to figure out, is this really a right career move for me? And if so, how do I get started in a way that works for me? This is a big one too for any career you want to transfer into. See if you can volunteer and get some real world experience doing the type of work that you want to do. I love volunteermatch.org and idealist.org for finding volunteer opportunities. When I wanted to volunteer as an employment specialist, I went to the organizations in my neighborhood, in this case, Jewish Family Service in San Diego. They had a volunteer position for a job coach. I assumed that position, and within 2 months, I got the job that not necessarily started my career in career services, but it really launched it. It was after that job that I was able to leave education behind completely and only focus on career services. And that was as recently as 2016. But that started for me because I started volunteering. If you're really interested in this career and you start to get into it, something that you want to do, I do really recommend getting certified. Don't get certified just to get certified, though. Research the organizations, know what type of career services you want to get into, know which certification is going to serve you professionally, and then dedicate yourself to getting that certification. You may find later on that you want to get additional certifications, and that's fine. I know people who are 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 times certified over. I have 3 certifications. But there's certifications that I'm not going to get because I know, you know what? I'm not necessarily going to get a lot of value out of that for my money or my time in terms of what I'm learning. And I don't think it's going to advance my career. So it's not something that I'm going to get involved with. So, having worked with a lot of teachers, coaching them to new jobs and career success, and having worked with a wide variety of professionals over the years, I know what works. And I know that you need to start by figuring out what it is that you want, what skills that you want to use, what your values are, what kind of impact you want to have in the world, and what type of environment you want to work in. And what's most important to you? Is it money? We all love money, right? There's no shame in that. But if money's not the most important thing, what else is important to you? So really starting with yourself and knowing what you want, and then doing the research, then finding the mentors, doing the informational interviews. You have to take these steps one by one, and it's not simply enough to say, hey, this sounds good to me. I'm going to submit the resume that I already have and hope that someone gives me a call. It's really about doing all of that preparatory work ahead of time. But I can guarantee you that if you go about it the right way, that if you tailor your resume for a job that you're interested in, and if you're really dedicated to doing this kind of work, that you're going to be able to make a career for yourself. And you don't have to go back to education if you don't want to. If you want to, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I still have a tutoring client. So I'm not, I guess, completely out of education. I still enjoy doing that. But the bottom line is I'm doing what I love. I'm living the lifestyle that I want to lead. I never miss a mortgage payment. I'm able to help people to realize and exceed their own expectations. I work remotely from home. I'm able to work wherever I want to in the world, and I'm able to do things on my terms. And that is career satisfaction, and that is what I hope for you. So thank you for attending this presentation today. Again, my name is Marcia Wall. I'm a career success coach. You can find me on LinkedIn. Please, when you connect with me, say, hey, I saw your presentation at the Teacher Summit. I'd really like to connect with you on LinkedIn, and I will absolutely take your request. Thank you once again. And I will tell you, as I tell all of my clients, it's cheesy, but I absolutely believe this, or I wouldn't be in this line of work. And what I believe is the very best is yet to come. Good luck.